The government has welcomed an agreement in Parliament on public employee pension system reform, but some experts question how much it will really save. 5 Korean mountain climbers stranded in the Himalayas after a devastating and deadly earthquake in Nepal have made it to the capital of Kathmandu. And an Indonesian passenger plane scheduled for return to Korea by Monday morning has been delayed, leaving some 200 Koreans stranded on the resort island of Bali. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Monday, May 4th. I'm Luke Clary. The government has welcomed a bipartisan agreement on a public employee pension reform plan for its projected fiscal savings. However, some experts question whether the new pension plan will actually save money for the government.
The government applauded the new plan for saving almost $308 billion in fiscal budget over the next 70 years. There are many other money-saving measures included in the plan, in addition to civil servants paying more and getting less. For instance, age eligible for pension has been raised to 65, and the pension amount is to be frozen for 5 years. Also, the payment rate for the surviving spouse pension program has been lowered.
모든 이해 당사자가 참여한 가운데 상호 양보와 고통 분담을 통해 국민적 합의를 이끌어낸.
However, experts point out that the reform should focus on giving less rather than increasing pension dues, and that the cut in the pension amount is too little to see a significant budget-saving effect. Once the agreement goes into effect, a public servant with an average monthly wage of around $2,700 would have to pay 28% more into the pension program but receive only 10% less. Also, a raise in insurance rate would be inevitable if the national pension entitlement rate is hiked to 50% of the average income, which would cause strong protests from the national pension subscribers.
The death toll in earthquake-ravaged Nepal has surpassed 7,200 people. And as search and rescue operations there wind down, 5 Korean mountain climbers stranded in the Himalayas have finally made their way to the capital of Kathmandu, where they look forward to returning home to Korea.
The northeastern district of Sindupalchok in Nepal bore the brunt of the recent deadly earthquake, with more than 1,500 of its residents killed. 8 days after the earthquake, 2 women and 1 man were rescued alive in the district. 2 of them were buried under a collapsed structure, while the other went missing after a landslide that occurred in the wake of the deadly quake. 5 Korean mountain climbers who were stranded in the Himalayas also returned to Kathmandu on Sunday. Sources say the 5 were staying near Ramche village when the earthquake struck. They had no access to food for about 4 days.
탈수가 굉장히 심하고 열은 한 40도로 고열 상태였고 엑스레이상에서는 폐렴이 좀 심한 중증 폐렴 상태셨고요.
Last weekend, the bodies of 6 more foreign trekkers were found in the Himalayas, bringing the total death toll to over 7,200. But even amid horror and despair, life seems to carry on. A baby was born in one of the makeshift tents where displaced earthquake victims are currently staying. The government of Nepal said that it plans to stop the search for survivors soon because measures are now urgently needed to help some 500,000 displaced quake victims.
An Indonesian passenger plane scheduled to arrive at Incheon International Airport on Monday morning has been delayed due to a mechanical problem stranding some 200 Koreans in Indonesia.
About 200 Korean passengers are stranded in Bali International Airport in Indonesia. The Garuda Indonesia flight was scheduled to land at Incheon International Airport at 8:25 a.m. on Monday, but its departure was delayed due to a mechanical problem. The passengers claim that the airline did not provide any explanation, even though they had to wait inside the plane for 2 hours. Some 100 Korean passengers launched a protest at the airport lobby to urge the airliner to come up with a solution. Garuda Indonesia announced that the flight was canceled after discovering a defect in the aircraft, and once an alternate flight is arranged, the passengers will arrive in Korea at around 9 p.m. Monday night. A blaze erupts on a highway shoulder. The flames engulfed the entire bus, leaving only its burnt frame. The fire broke out on an Incheon Metropolitan bus that was returning to the garage after experiencing a breakdown. The accident took place near Chonam Junction of the Seoul Ring Expressway at around 8 p.m. on Sunday. No casualties were reported from the blaze, but the traffic was backed up 4 miles for about an hour.
Gangnam Enterprises' financial woes began when the company's now-deceased chairman, Hwang Seo-jong, launched the construction of his pet project called Landmark 72 in Vietnam. Here's more.
A tall edifice can be seen through a thick haze. It's Landmark 72, which was built in 2011. Gangnam Enterprises' late chairman, Hwang Seo-jong, invested over $1 billion in its construction. The building is now home to high-end stores. It also has a large convention hall where a fashion show of traditional Korean costumes was held during President Park Geun-hye's visit to Vietnam in 2013. Landmark 72 is known in Vietnam as a residential complex for the wealthy. All of the units in 2 48-story apartment buildings have been sold, despite the lofty price of around $9,200 per 3.3 square meters. But after the Gangnam Enterprises chairman obtained a large debt to build Landmark 72, the company's financial problems began to snowball rapidly. It has even been suggested that slush funds were raised during the structure's construction. The court has appraised the value of Landmark 72 at around $748 million. Gangnam Enterprises and the Qatar Investment Authority will soon negotiate its acquisition.
More on Bongban, an all-female music group from North Korea, has returned to the stage after a gap of 7 months. The girl group also released a set of new songs exalting the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
Female singers dressed in matching white outfits sing of the longing for Mount Paektu in a lively yet yearning voice. The audience becomes excited at the elaborate violin melodies, new dance routines, and dazzling stage lights. The Moranbong Band has resumed performing after a 7-month gap and released a string of new songs. The lyrics sing of the spirit of Mount Paektu and praise the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The songs vow loyalty to Kim Jong-un and highlight his friendly image. However, the performance is also characterized by the absence of songs directly referring to former leaders Kim Il-sung or Kim Jong-il. Experts say the show was intended to stir up loyalty toward Kim Jong-un, who began his 4th year in leadership, and unite the regime. When the Moranbong Band first debuted in 2012, its westernized performance style caused a great sensation. But now, the group has become more blatant in serving as a propaganda tool for the Kim Jong-un regime.
May is an exciting month for children in Korea, with so many family-related holidays being observed this month. However, the number of traffic accidents involving children in the month of May is the 2nd highest in Korea after the summer vacation period in August.
To many children in Korea, May is the most awaited month of the year because many family-related holidays are observed in May, and because families spend a great deal of time outdoors and travel during this month.
엄마 아빠랑 전주 놀이공원에 가고 거기에서 바이킹 타고 바다도 갈 수 있고 따뜻해져서 아무데나 놀러 갈 수 있어서 좋아요.
But safety is easy to overlook when families spend time together outdoors. Over the past 3 years, the number of traffic accidents involving children has been found to be the second highest in the month of May. Accidents involving children mostly occurred when school was over, between 3 and 6 p.m. The percentage of accidents involving children on crosswalks was more than twice as high as those involving adults. Most of the victims were first and second grade elementary school students. Last year, some 102,000 children fell victim to traffic accidents. The percentage of child victims in traffic accidents has been on the rise for the third consecutive year.
There are relatively fewer opportunities to enjoy the arts and culture in rural areas than in big cities. But these days, small museums in rural provinces are going beyond simply serving as an exhibition hall and seeking to engage and interact with local residents.
A dozen or so students are immersed in making ceramic cups. They mold the white clay into various shapes to create one-of-a-kind cups.
현장에서 나와서 체험을 하니까 이렇게 눈으로 확인할 수 있고 볼 수 있어서 더 좋은 것 같아요.
Some 500 local residents have taken the pottery class at this museum since it first began in 2009. Local museums are in fact offering an array of lectures in history and humanities and activity classes such as pottery and painting. This is helping to ease the cultural starvation typically suffered by those in rural farming and fishing communities. The reaction among locals have been positive, with visitor numbers to 4 museums run by Yanggu County in Gangwon Province growing each year. Cultural amenities and infrastructure are noticeably scarcer in rural areas, but local museums are stepping up to buck this trend as they transform into cultural venues.
When it comes to ballet, most people think about elegant dancing. Here we introduce the comedy ballet, referring to ballet productions striving to ease the rigid formality of the traditional art form and seek fun and laughter.
Snow White costumes and proud, classy choreography. Elegance and beauty are quintessential symbols of ballet. Here, instead of soft tiptoeing, the dancers walk and jump across the stage. The dances are comical and the facial expressions filled with humor. This is a comedy ballet, an adaptation of a Shakespearean comedy. The traditional signature elegance of ballet is nowhere to be seen. To dance more freely, even the stiff toe shoes have come off. It's all great fun for the audience, but to the dancers, comedy is actually much more difficult than traditional ballet. It's because they are so accustomed to formalized ballet that they're not familiar with unconventional dancing and acting.
망가지기도 해야 되고 저를 좀 버려야 되는 그런 동작들이 표정들이 많아서 그게 가장 힘들었던 것 같아요.
Ballet has laid down its elegance as it reinvents itself and appeals to a larger audience.
People today are generally better off than our ancestors, but remain at a higher risk of exposure to heavy metals. Here's more on these silent killers and how we get exposed to them every day in modern life. This woman sought medical help because of her hair loss. She's also been suffering from prolonged fatigue. The results of heavy metal and mineral testing, which included readings of 30 kinds of mineral levels and 8 kinds of heavy metal levels, showed that her condition was caused by heavy metal toxicity.
두통이 온다든지 만성 피로가 온다든지 손발이 저리다든지 이런 것들이 오는데 그것이 쌓이게 되면 중추신경계 증상부터 심혈관계 증상 이런 많은 증상들이 다양하게 올 수 있는데
Here's how heavy metals make their way into the human body. The most common way to get heavy metal exposure is by drinking tap water. Tap water flowing through aged pipes may contain lead. Cooking meat or fish on aluminum foil should be avoided because of the possibility of aluminum leaks. Drinking canned beverages straight from the can instead of pouring them in a cup also poses health risks because when the saliva and aluminum become mixed, they produce a chemical reaction. Many people use disposable items on spring picnics. Eating food from disposable dishes with disposable chopsticks or spoons also carries the risk of heavy metal contamination because they contain arsenic and hydrogen peroxide, which are used as bleaching agents and preservatives. Extra caution is required when eating wild spring herbs as well because they can also be contaminated with heavy metals.
흑성 노출인 경우에는 의복이라던가 또는 섭취한 경우에는 위장관 세척을 통해서 적극적인 치료가 필요합니다.
Fortunately, 75% of heavy metals are discharged from the body during bowel movements, and 20% are removed through urine. Exercising also helps cleanse the body, as heavy metals can be discharged through sweat. Drinking plenty of water helps dilute the density of heavy metals in the body. Tannin contained in green tea is also effective in removing toxic substances. But above all, boosting your immune system and improving your body's metabolism are the best ways to protect yourself from heavy metals. And now let's take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. Thanks for watching. Tomorrow is Children's Day in Korea, so we'll see you again on Wednesday. Until then, goodbye.